On this episode, we're going to be reviewing two shows and one match. The first thing we're going to do is review AEW Rampage, featuring, of course, a four-way tag match. We have Powerhouse Hobbs in action. We have awesome Japanese wrestlers from the Yoshi world who know each other all too well. We're talking about Riho and Emi Sakura, and of course, a tag match where the Mongol affiliates, most consistent with Parker, Boudreaux, and Swerve, take on Keith Lee and Dustin Rhodes. And then after that, we're going to see who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up. And then after that, we're going to be doing, of course, a review on a match that took place back in December. Now, if you guys remember this, Chris Brooks produced a show called uh, Baka Gaijin and Friends, which of course he does similar to what they do in Choco Pro, but in different random places at a bar. This is one of the from Volume 1 that took place on the 13th of December of 2022, where Maho takes on, of course, Chris Brooks' one of his latest best friends, Deathworm. And then, of course, we got some news updates to tell about what's been going on, some interesting things that I came across upon. And then after that, we'll be calling it a day. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with AEW Rampage. It opened up with a four-way tag match. We have Blackpool Combat Club, consistent of our two ROH champions, the Pure Champion, Wheeler Yuta, and of course, the ROH World Champion, Claudia Castagnoli, taking on Dark Order members, Alex Reynolds and John Silver, since those two teams are at war with each other recently because of Evil Uno. And we have Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin. Also we have Aussie Open, Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher. This has had a lot of spots, not to mention it was very interesting to see. However, much of the intention seems like it was going in favor. That was mostly focusing on the war between both Dark Order and the Blackpool Combat Club. If you guys remember, Evil Uno took on John Moxley, but that match ended with, of course, ref decision. And that kind of did. But, however, near the end of this match, if you guys remember what a great combination work does Silver and Reynolds do together, it would have fallen in the favor of Dark Order, but somehow the Blackpool Combat Club kind of stole the match, and Wheeler Yuta applied the seatbelt onto Darius to give them the win. But as soon as the match was over, Reynolds and Silver decided not to take this lightly, knowing that they had this match won. But the brawl continued between those two. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see a feud between both sides. Now, our next match, we have a case in the Yoshi wrestling world, a, a, a match between student versus teacher. We're talking about our very first ever AEW Women's Champion Riho taking on Emi Sakura. Now, if you guys remember back 2 years or 3 years ago, when Rio became the AEW Women's Champion, Emi Sakura challenged her for the belt, and of course, Emi Sakura won. I mean, Riho won that match. However, this is more of a revenge for Emi Sakura to right or wrong from that particular match. Now, Rio has come back, uh, as you know, for who knows how long. Recently, she on Dynamite, she was in a match um against Tony Storm, which she won. So this is a test, but the real thing is, who will walk out of this one? How much does Riho know Emi Sakura, since she has now become much darker, and Emi Sakura, has evolved even better since then. And I think that tells us a lot of things about these two. But Of course, it was Riho with a amazing agility and try to maneuver ways in order to win the match. I was impressed by her. People can say you shouldn't. Um, that some people talk negative about Riho, but Kenny is right. Yes, she may not be built, but at least she can do things for a woman of her size that will impress anybody, and that's exactly how she won this match. And I think that's the thing that many fans need to understand. We don't need guys with muscle and pecs and abs all the time, but they can do things beyond what wrestling can give us. And I think that's what I like about Riho. And she picked up that one by doing that. Next up, we have, of course, Powerhouse Hobbs in action taking on Serpentico. You probably can guess this match ended with Powerhouse Hobbs winning. However, Powerhouse Hobbs, as you know, is the winner of the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Uh, we know in the past he had preceded the TNT belt before, but it came up no short. But he said he doesn't care right now after Revolution who walks out. He doesn't care if it's Samoa Joe or it's or if it's Wardlow. However, Samoa Joe made it perfectly clear that he is going to walk out as the champion on Revolution and this coming Dynamite. So he is 100% confident that that's how it's going to go. Now, we do get a little interview with Konosuke Takeshita, as you know. He was this close of winning the Face of the Revolution ladder match. He was like very frustrated that he pick up a lot of good wins, but not the bigger ones. So he had this tendency to believe that he should be heading back to Japan. But Don Callis kind of gave him this little pep talk saying that you're right, you didn't big the big matches, but you know why you didn't big it? Because Powerhouse Hobbs have something that you don't have, which is, of course, Killer Instinct. So he kind of gave Konosuke Takeshita the option either I can be the guy can get you what you want, or you can go back to Japan. So he's going to give it some thought. We know for the for a while now that Don Callis has his interest in Konosuke Takeshita since arriving to AEW. So we'll just wait and see how that plays out. Now, as you know, Mark Briscoe, he is now flying solo. Recently, he had a deal with that weasel, Mark Sterling, trying to get him to represent him and all this, but Sterling had a deal. With Briscoe had a deal with Woods, and then of course he saw two brothers that got to his attention. So he's gonna pair up with the Lucha Brothers, with Penta and Rey Fenix, to take on the varsity athletes Woods and Nice, and of course Ari Daivari. So basically, Alex said this to Sterling that instead of taking things to court, let's take in the ring, and that's gonna be happening on the 0 hour in Revolution. So that'll be on that free kickoff show you'll see on YouTube. So keep that in mind for everyone. Now, our main event, we have Parker Boudreaux and Swerve Strickland taking on Dustin Rhodes and Keith Lee. I think this match was pretty good because you have two powerhouses in both ends. But Keith Lee, he will always be that one wrestler that he always will impress us the way he's been since we first got to know him. And Dustin, he's on his last ride before he retires, and I feel like it is giving him a good story saying you have a guy like Swerve who thinks that the spotlight should be focused on him, not Dustin Rhodes, who is a second generation wrestler who is nothing compared to his dad. Yes, we know that he's nothing like his dad, but he's trying to leave a legacy behind. And I thought it was a pretty good match, and it was of course a Keith Lee with the jackhammer, which is a move that was done by a famous wrestler we all know from WCW, Goldberg. He did that on Parker Boudreaux, giving him a while. But you know for a fact Keith Lee will do anything in his power to get his hands on Swerve for what happened last time. So we'll see how it goes with AEW from there. But don't forget, this coming Sunday, we have Revolution. I'm sure everybody's going to be watching that. I know I am. So I think that's it with AEW. So let's move on with NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up? Let's find out. Our opening match, we have Lyra Valkyria taking on Tatum Paxley. To my surprising, I thought Ivy Nile was going to be there for Pax, but unfortunately that's not. As you know, Paxley is still dealing with some stuff on her own. As you know, she was accused by both Isla Dawn and Jessica Alba, thinking that it was her who attacked Nikita Lyons, and possibly, I'm not sure if she's going to be accused for Wendy Chu. But nonetheless, as you know, Valkyria has continued to impress us since coming to NXT, all the way from NXT UK when she had a different name. But nonetheless, she picked up the good win against Paxley when she applied that heel kick, as always, finish her up, giving her her W. Now, our next match, before we get that, we have a interview by a new guy named Luca. What's his name? Luca Crucifino. I don't know who the hell is this guy. He thinks that everything is falling into place. He thinks Dante Chen may have what it takes, but he thinks that he doesn't have the means to beat him. Now, we've seen many wrestlers say that all the time, but Dante Chen, as you know, he is one of the rising stars. He's still working on himself to get to the top. That's always been a good thing for Dante. So we get into this match. You probably think Dante would probably figure out a way to beat him, but the Crucifino did not take him seriously. I think that's the real question that led us to that match, because when a wrestler says that he may not beat him because he thinks that, oh, everything is in its right place, no. You should do your homework, learn your opponent, but if you don't, then that means you got your butt kicked. And that's exactly what Dante Jin did to him. He took him out. Now, our final match, our main event, is Oro Menza taking on Eddie Thorpe, formerly known as Carl Fredericks. It's great to see him. I know we've been expecting him for quite some time, being since we heard that he got signed with WWE. Um, I'm gonna try to get used to the idea of him calling himself Eddie Thorpe. Not gonna lie about that, but nonetheless, he continues to impress us as always. I mean, people can say things about his background in the past of his timing in Japan and all this, but nonetheless, Eddie Thorpe continues to rise to the occasion, becoming more. And of course, he applied the Impaler DDT onto Oro Menza to give him a good win. So I have to say, we could see Eddie Thorpe be more successful in NXT long before we ever see him in the main roster. But we'll see how time will go as he grows and progresses and adapts as a wrestler in WWE's banner. So I think that's pretty much it with NXT Level Up. Let's review a match from the Baka Gaijin and Friends. Okay, so as you know, I reviewed a match in an event called Baka Gaijin and Friends. This is a self-produced show made by none other than Chris Brooks, a native British who lives in Japan. He's produced already two shows of these, Volume 1 and Volume 2, and there's going to be a third volume coming up later on this month, I believe. The last one we had was possibly, I'm not remember, was it last month or January? But however, I did not see the volume one, because it was set private. But luckily, they had the DCC to build a YouTube channel where we can see them. So I will put this particular match on the description down below for all of you to check out, because I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. Now, this particular match, it features Deathworm versus Mao. Now, if you guys haven't seen Deathworm before, check out one of Deathworm's matches that he was involved in when it was, of course, CDK taking on the Uma Army, which is a group of monsters. Deathworm was there. It was a pretty good show, but seeing Deathworm, I love Deathworm. He's like everybody's favorite monster that we love to enjoy, you know. And Chris Brooks, who doesn't like him, they end up being friends, so he invited him to, hey, check on Mao. I thought this match was very, very fun and interesting. There was a moment where Deathworm was biting Mao's dick off. Yep, that's what happened. But the moment that took place, Mao immediately left the building, and Deathworm decided to follow. Now, you probably saying, why would Deathworm follows him? Because the match itself was inside of a bar. I don't know exactly where, but a very small, spacious bar. While the people were still there, the cameras followed Death Worm where it was going. Death Worm and Mao were fighting in the streets. I'm going to presume in the streets of Tokyo. I'm just gonna say that. But I don't think it was a good thing for Death Worm because they fought back and forth, and then later they took the fight back into the bar. They continued on there, and there was a moment once again. Mao, who has the tendency to be all gayish at some moment when he hugs his opponent, it kind of makes me how are you gonna make out with a death worm? With a worm. That kind of gets me going. But everybody loves Death Worm. But unfortunately, that match ended with, of course, Maho applying. Um, I couldn't tell from the angle, was it a Falcon Arrow or a Michinoku driver? That I couldn't tell, but it did give Maho the W to win this match. I have to say it was a lot of fun matches. Don't forget, we do got Volume 3 coming up. I think I might have talked about that, but I'll keep updates on that. I will put this video of this match on the description down below for all of you to check out. So right now, I believe we ended right here with all the reviews we have. So let's move on with some news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. Now, our first update, this one I was very intrigued by this one that was reported by the Wrestling Observer newsletter, but this one was a couple of days ago. But this one is a very good one. I don't know if you guys heard about this one. Bryan Danielson, as you know, has played up as a coach to Jade Cargill for quite some time, always asking her for help, a little bit of, inside knowledge and all that. As you know, recently there was reports about Jade Cargill not being used for TV time, but this one came across. Jade Cargill seems like she's interesting to go to Japan. We do know that Bryan Danielson has an interest of him to go to Japan as well, but Jade really asked about it, about what does she think, what does he think about her going to Japan. He said that he likes the idea. He says that once she comes back from Japan, she'll be a whole different wrestler. And we've seen that with many wrestlers who actually go to Japan and they come back better than they ever were before. And it helped Bryan Danielson before. He said this could take up to a 3-month tour or something. Now, I wouldn't be, so it's still unclear, will she be touring like freelancing with other promotions or with Stardom? I mean, it would help with Stardom, because I know that they're allowing foreign wrestlers. I mean, we just saw recently with Mariah May and Zaya Brookside being with Mina Shirakawa. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. So we'll see what happens then once but if she's gonna do this, certain people talked about this, about maybe it's best if Jade Cargill drops the belt. And I mean, some people are felt that maybe it's time for her to drop the belt. I'm not sure yet if that's the appropriate timing, but we'll see. Now, as you know, MLW, I talked about this. They started doing their shows on the Reelz channel, which is REEL, like Reelz. Apparently, something has happened. This was announced that Reelz will be now streaming their everything on Peacock, but this causes a problem for MLW. As you know, MLW has some bad history with WWE. As you know, a few times they've been trying to get a TV deal due to the fact that WWE has been getting involved and they couldn't. WWE were successful and tried to not to let the antitrust thing try to bring them down. I feel like right now, I don't know why is Reelz doing this now with the Peacock. We know that WWE have exclusive saying they are the only wrestling promotion that allowed to be in Peacock, but it's still unclear what's going to happen with MLW. We don't know if Reelz are going to. But however, here's what we do know. They made their debut on the 17th of February, and they had about 97 viewers that watched this, and they had the rate of 0.03 on the 18 to 49 demographic. This is the best viewership on Reelz to date. So I say Reelz do have something, but the problem is if they're gonna have, they have to come up with a compromising. I don't know what's they're gonna. They haven't heard anything. What they're gonna do? Are they gonna cut ties with MLW or what? We don't know, but we'll see what happens. Now, as you know, we're all happy the Ring of Honor are back. Well, apparently, right now things are not apparently good from behind the scenes. It turns out that there were some wrestlers that were upset and frustrations that they were never utilized in ROH for both weekends when they first came out. Um, Apparently, they're saying there were some but they're being paid, despite the fact that they're there, but they're not being paid. I mean, they're there, but they're being paid. That's what they're saying. So I don't know if this was a mistake. I don't know exactly what's the deal. We did sell a lot of good wrestlers that were there, but we just don't know exactly what's going on for that. Some wrestlers were frustrated because they like had to cancel some bookings just to be on ROH, but I don't know. Hopefully they can resolve this quickly as possible. Now, interesting developments as you and I talk about the WrestleCon who's going to be making appearance. This one's a very good one that you probably are probably going to be a lot of questions. They announced Trinity Fatu, known as Naomi, will be at WrestleCon. Now we don't know yet why, but she's not back. Apparently, she's saying there's an shoulder injury. We do know that WWE have an interest to bring her back, despite after what happened last year when she and Mercedes Monet, formerly known as Sasha Banks, walked out. So we don't know much, but it's great to hear that she continues being used. She's not using her name Naomi, she's using her real name Trinity Fatu. Now, it appears Komander, as you know, he made his debut in AEW for the Face of the Revolution ladder match, and we all impressed. I mean, I saw this guy wrestle in GCW, but however, apparently his exposure to AEW has set the radar on WWE. It appears WWE have an interest in Komander. Now, this is the same kind of situation that took place with Nathan Frazier when he was known as a different name. I forgot what was his name back then. If you guys remember, Nathan Frazier was in AEW Dark. WWE were impressed by him and they really wanted him to come on board, and that's exactly what took place. So basically, WWE does have an interest, but apparently at this moment, Komander is signed with the Chaos Lucha Libre promotion out of Mexico. We don't know how this would affect. Now, we don't know if the AEW does have an interest in him or WWE would love to have us to sign him. That's the thing. Now, speaking of Komander, um, as you know, it was revealed the Komander was I don't know, was it a last minute or second choice to be in the face of the Revolution match. Originally, they were going to have Hijo de Vikingo to be appearing there, but apparently he was unavailable. He couldn't do it. That's the reason Komander was in his place. Don't get me wrong, Hijo de Vikingo, he's a crazy wrestler that we enjoy watching, but that's the reason how that happened. Now, our final update we have is, of course, the Black Label Pro for their upcoming event. Observe This Brother takes place on the 25th of March. Three new names have been announced for the Black Label Pro Rumble that will take place on that particular day. We have Kevin Koo, who will be the one half of the Violence is Forever. Then we have the debut of this wrestler. I don't know who he is. His name is Mayang Ja Lee. So I don't know much about him. So he makes his return, and a guy named Tony Adams, who makes his return. So basically, this guy is well known with Black Label Pro. But I think that's pretty much it. What we have with our news updates at this point. So let's just call it a day. Okay. Hope everybody enjoys this episode. Like I said, I had to keep it short due to some other things that I have to do for the next day. Coming up, we have more on Choco Pro, which is of course $2.99, and after that we do have NWA USA. I can't wait to see. Now we do know we have GCW and other things. There are other shows that I haven't reviewed yet. There is the ICW, No Holds Bars. I haven't done that, or the XPW. That's pretty much also it. If there's anything else, I will be covering that. But first thing first, I will be doing another Unagi Sayaka watch. Apparently, more developments have taken place regarding on her Just Tap Out a match that she had in a 6-person tag match, and of course, some interesting new developments that some things that I did not expect her to be in, and of course, it's been decided who will be her third partner in All Japan Pro Wrestling in that 6-person tag match. So stand by for that. So as of right now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.
Are you ready?